Hey guys, Kyle, the Death Knight of Anime here, bringing you my review for Attack on Titan Season 3, Episode 17. And yeah, this one, it was definitely a weird episode because the episode itself, it was apparently delayed on Crunchyroll, but yeah, it came out around around 8:30 my time, or 8:30 or 9 o'clock my time. Just a weird thing that happened with Crunchyroll. I'm not sure what that was about, but yeah, it still gave us the episode, so you won't hear me complaining. This is my review of Tag on Titan Season 3, Episode 17. So yeah, this episode, it barely wasted a moment in getting right to the epic to the epic shit of this episode. Like at every corner, it was like epic battle, epic battle, epic battle. And to start off with, it gave us the battle of Levi versus the Beast Titan, and just that opening first couple minutes was just one of those action scenes where it just kept going at such a fast pace that for a second I thought my heart was literally going to pop out of my chest or just stop. Like I'm not gonna lie, like I could, when I was watching that like first fight, I could literally feel like all of my adrenaline in my heart just kind of racing. So it's like, yeah, I gotta give Attack on Titan credit for I gotta give Attack on Titan credit just for basically that opening alone and just how epic it was. And I think a lot of what made that, I think a lot of that also comes with the fact that when you compare this particular battle with a lot of Levi's other battles that he's been in up to this point, with this particular battle that Levi facing down the Beast Titan, you could really sense the desperation. You could really sense his desperation in order to finally put an end to basically the one responsible for basically a good majority of what everyone's been through and almost for the entirety of Attack on Titan. Like in it all, like the Beast Titan and the man behind the Beast Titan are the ones who basically started this all, or actually are just one piece of that puzzle too. But in reality, honestly, are just one piece of that puzzle. But yeah, in either way, like in their eyes, it's like for Levi, it was a do or die situation. He had to end the Beast Titan there, but as we see, he didn't entirely succeed. Because don't get me wrong, with Levi, he pretty much had the beast. He pretty much had the man behind the Beast Titan cornered. But in the end, he escaped. And the real kicker in all this is that the man behind the Beast Titan, what pretty much he basically said to Levi, he said to Levi in terms of the difference between like victory and defeat, he wasn't wrong. Like, he wasn't wrong, because even though the man behind the Beast Titan retreated, and even though the man behind the Beast Titan was defeated and he was forced to retreat, the one who lost in the end was pretty much Levi and the Survey Corps, because in this twisted world, it's not about who you basically defeat, but definitely more basically how many survive. And the Survey Corps just pretty much lost everyone, including Erwin. And yeah, we're pretty much gonna get into Erwin here in a minute, into Erwin and Armin's death in a minute here for sure. But let's talk about Armin. Let's talk about the other half of this, the other part of this episode, because the epic action didn't stop there. We also cut back to the battles inside the walls, and for me, what made that particular battle even more interesting was that it was basically a very similar setup as the battle with the Beast Titan, where basically Armin ended up making the sacrifice play, but unlike the battle with the Beast Titan, where there was that one element that pretty much allowed the man behind the Beast Titan to escape. In terms of the battle with the walls, in terms of the battle in the walls, that was against Reiner and Bertolt, I guess it was a very similar setup, but what made Armin's sacrifice a lot more deserving almost is that what made Armin's sacrifice a lot more worthwhile is that Armin, unlike the battle with the Beast Titan, where they just kind of rushed in without much of a plan, Armin stepped up for sure in this episode. Armin just didn't let anyone rush in and sacrifice themselves. Armin actually came up with a plan, and Armin actually came up with a plan. Armin managed to notice a single flaw about Bertolt's Titan form in this episode, and using that one single detail, he strategized around that, which included a strategy to prevent Reiner from interfering. And the reveal itself of Bertolt's weakness being that his Titan form grows weaker. It grows weaker every single time. Every single time he transforms, at least more than once. It was one of those reveals that makes sense in a general perspective when you consider how few times that Bertolt has actually transformed throughout the series. But and I like how it shows that despite the Colossal Titan's massive amounts of raw strength, we definitely get shown that the trade-off is just as crippling to him, honestly. And yeah, and I just really love I just love that contrast between these two battles. How both Erwin and Armin ended up making the sacrifice play in order to attain victory, but pretty much one had a vastly different outcome than pretty much the other, and in this, and in the case of like Armin's plan and the battle against Bertolt, that was the one that ended up with basically the much. With the much more pretty much fruitful result, obviously, and okay, so let's talk about the big thing with this episode, which is that both Armin and Erwin are pretty much dead or at death's door at the very least, and this is an interesting setup we have going on here, and if you basically all remember that pretty much tease at the end of season 3's like first core, with what happened in this episode, that gives a much bigger picture of what the circumstances of that argument in that little tease were basically about, and what the circumstances of that argument are going to be now, since we basically have two key characters essentially dead and a single syringe of Titan spinal fluid. So, So from here, it's really just about using common logic of which one of these characters has the greater chance of surviving past this point. And I'll be honest, like when I first read this material in the manga, and revisiting now, I will know that definitely the series it hit it a little better than I remember by showing each death in a way that pretty much felt almost like it completed the character's arc, but it hit our suspension of disbelief a little bit. It hit our suspension of disbelief definitely in that sense, but looking at these two deaths like from basically just a purely logical standpoint, even though both character deaths definitely feel like it completes their arc, you can definitely tell that one of these character deaths that one of these deaths definitely felt like it completed the character's arc, one character's arc a little more than the other. And from here, it's gonna be like I think it's gonna be an easy, almost no-brainer in order to know who's gonna become the basically new like pretty much colossal Titan now. Like yeah, I think it's more than obvious, but yeah. If you just use that logic of whose character death just feels like it completes their story arc a little more, you'll be able to figure it out. And one final thing I want to talk about in this episode is the pacing. 'Cause guys, here's the thing: there's really only two chapters. There's only 2 chapters left between us and learning what's in the basement, and after that, it's only 5 more chapters before this arc ends. So because of that, unless they really stretch out those final 5 chapters, that when adapting them in anime format, I think we might be looking at a My Hero Academia situation here where it adapts a little bit of the next arc as well, which, if that is the case, I wouldn't mind, to be honest with you, because the final two arcs are like the longest that are the longest in the series history, like pretty much longer than any arc thus far. But again, with the whole news of Wit Studios with studios deciding to put production of Attack on Titan on hold, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Like I think it might happen it might happen that they're probably just gonna fill these 10 episodes with this one arc, but I don't know. I guess it really just all depends on how they handle these last 5 episodes, I guess. But yeah, guys. That's my review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Mr. Crunchyroll. Death Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, guys.